メジャー翻訳速報。ドジャースで2年目を迎える大谷翔平選手を中心にチームの雰囲気は昨年以上に高揚感に包まれています。特に東京ドームでの開幕戦は現地メディアからも大きな注目を集めています。今回はドジャースの新シーズンへの期待と日本人選手たちの最新情報を現地放送局の映像とともにお届けいたします。このチャンネルではメジャーリーグの最新情報を日本語で分かりやすく翻訳してお届けしています。チャンネル登録、高評価よろしくお願いいたします。
Everybody, welcome inside. Joined tonight by Jerry Harrison Jr., David Bassett. I just love seeing those clips of Clayton Kershaw. He was so emotional at that rally. He wanted to have a parade for such a long time. We heard him say, two-time champ, a lot more coming, and if so, he's going to be a part of it officially, Jerry.
I just love the emotion that he showed. I mean, years, obviously, of frustration in the postseason. They finally win it in 2020. They don't get a parade. He got his parade, and he let everybody know he was coming back.
I've never seen him that emotional before. Hopefully he can ride that emotion into spring training, and him coming back is certainly to a certain extent a little FOMO. He doesn't want to miss out, and that's why he went to great lengths to be there.
All right, well, speaking of his return, the reports started surfacing a couple days ago, and then we saw Clayton Kershaw on the fields at Camelback Ranch. Today, the Dodgers did make it official, signing the three-time Cy Young Award winner and former NL MVP to a one-year contract, $7.5 million with incentives and bonuses. Kershaw was limited to just 7 games last season, started late because of shoulder surgery, then went down with knee and foot issues, had surgery on both of them in November. He'll join an already loaded pitching staff at some point later this season. Clayton will continue to add to his Hall of Fame-worthy career numbers, franchise leader in WAR and strikeouts, second in wins, 21 behind Don Sutton, also second in WHIP. He is third in starts, fifth in innings pitched. Oh yeah, also, as we heard him say, a 2-time World Series champ. Here's Kershaw today in Arizona about coming back for year 18.
Yeah, it's good. Timing worked out to get back, and it was good for both sides. I think go through an off season, see how your rehab goes, and make sure everything's going kind of the way you want it to, and feel like it is, which is good. And yeah, it worked out. Excited to be back.
What for you was, I guess, just the most telling thing coming after surgery, just knowing that your body's in a good spot to return?
I mean, honestly, the foot surgery has been hard. It's just not an easy process. Like, walking's been hard and all that stuff, but finally started turning the corner a few weeks ago, and being able to throw and all those things, and it feels actually like it hasn't felt this way in a while, so that's good. And the knee's been fine, so I think really within the last month, I kind of knew that it was going to turn the corner at some point.
You were still trying to, late into the season last year, push to come back. Were you surprised once you had the surgery, how severe the injury was and kind of how long this process has been?
I knew I messed up my foot pretty good, but it was, I think the rehab's just been, with shoulder, you can still walk and do a lot of stuff. And I was back to being like a normal dad pretty quick, but being on crutches, being in a boot, having every step kind of hurt. It was hard. So I don't know if I expected all that a foot surgery entails, but thankful now to kind of be on the other side, and feel like I'm getting closer to being 100%.
Where are you at in the progression at this point? Is it
long toss? Yeah. Probably pens at some point next month would be my guess. My goal is, go on the 60-day, obviously, but hopefully right around when the 60-day time's up, that I'll be getting close to being back.
Obviously, you spent last year rehabbing a lot. This year, you're kind of going through it again. At this stage of your career, with everything you've already done, why are you putting yourself through this again?
I don't know. Why do you still do it, Dylan? I think
because I can't. I need the money.
No, I think. Yeah, look, I hope this is the last time I ever have to rehab. I'm kind of done with that. But at the same time, I don't want that to be the reason that I stop playing. I don't want to be like, I just can't do it and hurt. So hopefully I can walk out on my own terms whenever that is. But it just didn't kind of feel like it was the right time. Even though we won, being on the shelf for that wasn't the way that I had scripted it out. And so still super thankful to be a part of it last year and to get to see everything. But I want to be out there when it happens, and so that was a good motivating factor for sure.
Yeah, and Clayton was out there and very instrumental in the Dodgers winning their first World Series title in 32 years when he had 4 postseason wins in 2020, went 2-0 in the Fall Classic. Injuries, of course, kept him out of that 2024 October run, DV, but now he's back, and we just heard him say he wants to be on the field for another World Series run.
Well, I'm on the same page as Dylan Hernandez. I do this for the money as well, or I retire right now. But for Kershaw, it makes sense. He's so stubborn and definitely wants things done his way. And injuries are not going to send him out of this game if he's able to recover from those injuries. Major shoulder surgery 2 off seasons ago, now the left knee, the left foot. He wants to go out on his own terms, and that's the type of guy he is.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad that he is back here in Dodger blue. He said it at the parade there at the rally, Dodger for life. And, you know, his wife, Ellen, and his kids, they are all on board. They love the city of LA. They love playing for the Dodgers. And when your whole family is on board and has your back, that is so reassuring to players. I know Clayton Kershaw is anxious to get back, but I think more importantly, he needs to understand, and I know he does, the most important thing is he's healthy for the second half, so he's available. And really being Clayton Kershaw in that postseason. So they're going to slow play him, make sure he's completely fine when he does take the hill at Dodger Stadium.
Ever since he came up, he's always been compared to Sandy Koufax. Well, this is where the crossroads come, the fork in the road, because after the 1966 World Series, Sandy Koufax was forced to retire because of an arthritic pitching elbow. So Kershaw's not going out, as of now, the same way.
Yeah, and he talked about it when the pandemic hit in 2020. He realized just how much he missed the game when they had all those months where he wasn't allowed to pitch. And I think that's another reason why he wants to continue doing it. He loves the game, and he loves to be out there competing. Today at Camelback Ranch, Dave Roberts was asked about the impact of Clayton Kershaw returning for year 18.
Well, there's a reason why Blake Snell wanted his locker right next to Clayton's, right? That's what he means to this clubhouse, this organization. Even Clayton being around has been really uplifting, positive, I think, for him and for the players. Knowing he's going to come back, I think we're all excited. And as we've seen, baseball, certainly pitching, plays itself out in a lot of different ways. So to know that we've got him in our back pocket is pretty exciting.
Did he do anything during the postseason to help you guys behind the scenes?
He obviously traveled with us. I'm sure there were a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations that he was having with our players. So not specifically, but not that he would want it to be noted anyway, but he was certainly additive.
Well, if D-Train were here, he would probably say there's a lot of mileage on that Ferrari, but that Ferrari also has a lot of baseball knowledge. Clayton Kershaw certainly has that, Jerry. Even a veteran like Blake Snell has said he wants to learn from Kershaw. He wanted his locker to be right next to Clayton's. At this point, Clayton's a lot more than just a pitcher. He's someone the younger guys can really learn from. He's very much a role model as well.
And you listen, you see Clayton Kershaw right there. Obviously, he is not throwing on the mound. He is there observing his teammates, and if anything he can see and talk to, whether it's Blake Snell or the rest of the group, especially the young guys, they can learn from a Clayton Kershaw how to set up hitters, how to throw a certain pitch. I remember last year, he helped Yamamoto with his curveball. Obviously, Clayton from the left side, Yamamoto from the right. Just different grips can go a long way to help these young guys really improve on their career.
And remember, in Milwaukee last year, he was on the bench. He wasn't pitching that day. He was still healthy. And he caught the Brewers base runner missing second base.
Right.
So he was locked in. He's locked in even when he's not pitching. So him just being around is a huge value. The work ethic and him, like I said, the ultimate, right? In that game in Milwaukee, was able to get an out and get the Dodgers out of an inning.
I got off to a really slow start one year in Chicago. You know the one guy who helped me out? Greg Maddux, because he saw how pitchers were setting me up. They throw it way in so I could pull it foul. Guess what? I'm down 0-1. He goes, bruh, take that pitch. You'll be sitting 1-0. I started doing that. I caught fire. Greg Maddux,
right.
Pitcher, observing the game.
That's right. All those really smart guys, cerebral guys, and there's a big reason why they're going to be heading to the Hall of Fame. Maddox already there. Clayton will be at some point. The Dodgers offseason got off to a great start with Tommy Edman's extension and then that signing of two-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell. We've discussed Snell pretty much in every show since the day he signed. Dave Roberts has talked about Snellzilla a lot as well, and here's why.
He is a next level thinker. I've had some really good conversations. I think up to this point, the best conversations I've had in spring have been with Blake. He's very in tune with who he is as a person, as a pitcher. He's really anxious to work and watch Clayton and how Clayton does his work and how he's been so great for so long. For me, it's just talking baseball with him, talking hitters. He's in the cage watching hitters prepare, which I like that, you know, and a lot of pitchers don't do that as well.
Blake's been very just open about wanting to really build a relationship with Bobby Miller and be a mentor to someone like him. How valuable could that be for a player like Bobby, especially just coming off the challenges he had last year?
It's going to, I mean, I can't even, Huge is not even doing that justice, because Blake initiated this relationship. And I actually asked Blake myself, I said, how did that manifest? And he just said, I see Bobby in myself. And so he's never done that with a player, really, to try to take him under his wing and mentor him. So that's exciting for all of us. And obviously we know how talented Bobby is, but to have a peer, a guy that's won Cy Youngs, want to kind of really personally invest in him, I just think there's only great upside for both players, right? And for the organization as a whole.
DV, as you know, we like to joke around about your bromance with Blake Snell. You know him better than we do. And we just heard Doc, he had a lot to say about Snellzilla. But in your mind, is he one of those guys that just sees the game differently like a lot of the greats do, whether we're talking about Clayton Kershaw or Greg Maddux like Jerry brought up?
John, a bromance?
Yes, that's what it is.
Well, because I want to learn from the best in the game.
There
and
you
he
go.
is one of the best. And now the Dodgers are finding out what I already knew. He is a next level baseball thinker. Even though he only drinks Shirley Temples, he knows what he's doing when it comes to baseball. And he can read hitters' swings. We've heard Kershaw talk about that all the time in games. And he just understands who he is at this stage of his career. He's not up all night just playing video games. And there was a time last year in Milwaukee, I was with Kershaw. All of a sudden, Snellzilla is FaceTiming me because he had pitched as well. And I passed the phone to Kershaw, and he wanted to know what did Kershaw think about my game that night. Kershaw said, I had my own game to worry about. I wasn't watching what you thought.
First of all, why are you so defensive? I mean, what John said,
embrace the bromance.
Yeah, what John said was completely accurate. Everybody there, the 25 million viewers every single night know that you have a bromance with.
And it's
Blake
okay.
Snell. It's great. It's not okay. It's great.
I learn at the altar of the best.
If that helped him bring Blake here to the Dodgers, more power to you. But listen, it is important to have veteran guys that are accomplished, like a Blake Snell, take a young guy like Bobby Miller under his wing. That is so huge. Because, listen, pitching coaches can help. Even guys like Mark Pryor, who was a great pitcher in his own right, but he's now a coach. When you have your own teammate kind of walking you through things you should try, things you can do to help your game go to the next level, these players and pitchers listen to that.
And think about where Blake was when he was coming up in Bobby's situation. He was with the Rays surrounded by other young pitchers. He never had a guy like Blake Snell or Clayton Kershaw that was accomplished that could teach these young guys.
If you were to FaceTime him in the next block, do you think he would pick up?
He sent me the voicemail just 5 minutes ago.
Big surprise.
He's changed.
Here are some upcoming dates to mark on your calendar. Saturday, the full squad will be officially in camp. 1 week from today, the Cactus League opener, the first of 20 games in Arizona. The regular season begins March 18th with that 2-game Tokyo series against the Chicago Cubs. Then back to SoCal for the Freeway series with the Angels before March 27th. Game on for the home opener against the Detroit Tigers. Today is officially day 3 of workouts at Camelback Ranch, and we saw starting pitchers taking their first bullpen really on day 1. We know everything in spring, Jerry, is about gearing up for the regular season. We also know that baseball ops for the Dodgers, the coaches, they're very detail-oriented. So how much do you think they have scripted out this spring in terms of what the pitchers are going to be doing so that they're ready to go for when they're going to be pitching in the regular season
They
games?
have the script. Obviously, they know exactly what they want to do with each and every pitcher, whether it's a starter or the relievers. But as spring training rolls around, they're going to have to deviate because some guys may have some soreness. Some guys may need a day or two to recover from a start. So you're always kind of maneuvering your script, so to speak, but it's always to have it's always a good thing or a great thing to have a plan in place. You need to have a plan in place now. For a guy like a Shohei Ohtani, they're going to make sure they have their script to make sure that he's where he needs to be, whether it's early May, late May, when he gets back on the mound in the big leagues.
Every player and pitcher have told me since Andrew Freeman took over, they let me be myself. And that means that you don't treat every pitcher on the same plan because they're all at different points in their body and in their preparation. You think back to some of the guys that were on the team last year. They pitched longer and deeper into a season because of the World Series than they ever had before. So to me, that's kind of the slow ramp up, especially now where you have to turn around and start quicker than anybody else.
Well, and many of the players arrived in Arizona in the days right after Dodger Fest. In fact, the full squad doesn't have to report until this Saturday, but as we've seen, a lot of them, DV, whether it's Mookie and Freddie, Muncy, and there are many others as well, they're already in Arizona getting their work in.
Yeah, why not? It's raining here in LA. Might as well get to Arizona and get some reliable weather out there. And look, things have changed. Guys like Conforto and Kike Hernandez, to name a few, live there during the offseason, so that is home for them.
Yeah, another thing, too, is a lot of these guys that were there early here in camp would work out at Dodger Stadium. They would be home in LA. I know Mookie Betts lives here in the LA area. He would be at Dodger Stadium, but because Dodger Stadium is still being worked on, they got to Arizona early to make sure they got their work in. But again, I don't care if you're a young player or a veteran player, you know really what you need to get ready for a season. Certainly guys like Mookie Betts, Kike, and the rest of the guys.
And plus, knowing that games begin a week from today, a lot of these guys have wanted to get to Arizona early to get their work going. Usually a non-roster invitee doesn't have great odds to make a roster, especially as stacked as this Dodgers roster is, Jerry. But you have Roki Sasaki this year. Obviously, that's a unique situation. For most of the non-roster invitees in camp, what is really their objective this spring?
Make an impression. Make an impression, learn, and you never know what's down the line, because if you make that impression in spring training, whether you're a pitcher or a position player, they will remember you. So if something happens with the big league club, they'll say, hey, what happened to that kid that we had in spring training who went off offensively, or who came in and really dealt on the mound? How's he doing in AA or AAA? He's having a good season. You know what? Let's call him up. Spring training is more important for the young players because the veteran players know what they need, whether it's at bats or pitches, to get ready for a long season. It's these young guys making sure they make and leave an impression.
And when you talk about non-roster invitees, it's not just the young guys that are getting their first experience at big league camp. There's some veterans that make the team in that situation. I think back to Jamie Wright, who's now one of the coaches. That's how he got on the Dodgers and was a big leader for them in the bullpen. And I'm looking at 65 there, Giovanni Gallegos, who's an established veteran. When you look at the Dodger bullpen and injuries to Evan Phillips and Michael Kopech, all of a sudden now, there's two spots open, and I'm looking at Gallegos and I'm looking at Michael Grove to make an impression to win those two jobs, two spots.
Justin Turner a non-roster invitee?
That's right.
Certainly was.
There we go, Jay Hare.
Back in the day. All right, so our final camp note really is away from baseball. So, Davey, I'm going to begin with you. What's your favorite thing about spring training that doesn't involve baseball?
Wow, the deep dish pizza, or just pizza in general in Phoenix, a very underrated city for pizza, number of spots there. And of course, I get to see my guy, the Prince of the Desert, Andre Ethier.
The Prince of the Desert.
Really?
Now.
For me, I get a chance, especially when I was a player late in my career. I lived in Arizona, so I got a chance to sleep in my own bed. Spring training in Arizona is way better than Florida, because in Florida, it seemed like you had to travel sometimes 8-10 hours for a game. In Arizona, sometimes 20 minutes. Sometimes 30 to go play a big league game.
Davey, he's a Chicago guy. We like deep dish pizza. So what's the spot? I mean, if you're going to tell us, because we're heading out tonight.
Well, it would have to go to Giordano's out there.
Okay, that's Chicago spot.
Lou Malnati's is really good.
That's a good spot.
Both are great.
All right, still ahead. The reviews are in. Dave Roberts with rave reviews on his new shortstop. We'll discuss Mookie and how the move is different this time around. Plus, Freddie's been Mr. Everything during his Hall of Fame career, closing in on a unique milestone for first baseman. More season storylines coming up on Access.
Mookie being the shortstop sort of was a a longer-term conversation, obviously dating back to a calendar year ago where he kind of found his way, a little bit less than that, at shortstop. He certainly felt he had unfinished business, and he popped out to right field because it was the right decision at that time, given our roster. But I do feel that, I know that he wanted to really give himself the best chance to be a top performer at short.
What's going to let you know, like, when you're watching him out there, that his comfort level is rising and that he's cleaned up some of the things he did struggle with, you know, early last year when he was making the switch?
It's 2 grades better already. Action-wise, confidence-wise, there's some uncertainty, rightfully so, last year, where just the confidence is extremely high right now. And also, I think Mookie wants to be the best player in baseball, and I don't see why he wouldn't want that. And so I think if you play shortstop with his bat, that gives him a better chance.
Well, it's certainly one of the bigger, maybe one of the most unique stories entering this season. You have a 6-time Gold Glove right fielder making a move for the 2nd straight season to a new position. Jerry, Mookie says he wants to win a Gold Glove as a shortstop, and after what we just heard from Doc, I wouldn't put any of that past Mookie doing it.
Listen, you know, Mookie Betts has a unique characteristic. Obviously, he's one of the best athletes in all of sports, but he has the determination. He wants to be that dude. He works so, I think he works too hard. He works too hard, tirelessly on his craft. Last year, he had 10 days to work on being a big league shortstop. I thought he played pretty well, being the fact that he came into camp saying, you know, I'm going to play second base, having moved from right. Now you're thrusted to be an everyday shortstop at the big league level, not for a team that's not watched very often. It's for the LA Dodgers. So, listen, he's had a whole offseason to work on his craft. I saw him for a couple days. I was amazed how clean he looked at short, being able to throw from all different arm angles, but more importantly, the confidence that he has in himself. In order to do anything in life, you got to have confidence. And sometimes, even the best, like a Mookie Betts doing something new, the confidence may not be there right now. But sure, his confidence is there now, and he's ready to roll.
You're right. It's hard to believe, but Mookie Betts sometimes does doubt himself because he is such a humble guy. It sometimes works against him. I remember J.D. Martinez telling me multiple times during 2 seasons ago how he would have to reinforce to Mookie just how good he is. You don't need to tinker all that much. And maybe that tinkering, trying to be the best shortstop last year, worked against him in real time. And don't forget, not only when he came back after missing 6 weeks did he, you know, change positions, but then also lost his spot as the leadoff hitter and was unselfish and said, okay, Ohtani, you can lead off and I'll hit second for the betterment of the team. And they took off after that.
And also the start of last season, Mookie Betts was so great offensively, and that's back when he was playing shortstop. So hopefully we can see more of that here in 2025. We heard Doc say that Mookie Betts does want to be the best player in baseball. The Dodgers have a couple guys really who could make a claim for that, and they went back-to-back in walk-off fashion against the Rockies last September 22nd. DV, you get to start us off as we go to the K-Zone for these back-to-back homers.
Well, I can't break it down like Jay Hair, but I could tell you this, there were a lot of doubters. Thank you, Jay Hair. I could tell you there were a lot of doubters and critics that said Ohtani wasn't clutch. This was the beginning of him silencing those critics, where he was patient and also waited for the pitcher to come into his zone. And you saw what happened right there. Tied the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Never saw that type of emotion from him down the 5 freeway. But all of a sudden now he was a clutch player.
And you have Mookie Betts right behind him. He gets down in the count really quick, 0-2, 100 miles an hour. You know, I'm going to challenge him one more time. 101 in on his hands. He gets the barrel to it. Great swing, and Mookie, I say it all the time. Hopefully I say it over 30 times this year. Can't you see? Yes, that swing always hypnotizes me. We talk about clutch. When you have the big show, tying the ball game, and then Mookie right behind him, walking him off, That is a great 1-2 punch.
That certainly was a very fun day. A lot of fun days in the 2024 season. Coming up, the Dodgers playing to a sold-out crowd is going to be a bit different in Tampa. 11,000 seats available for Rays games this year. We'll discuss the majors playing in a minor league stadium. Plus, it's milestone watch. Clayton Kershaw on the doorstep of 3,000 strikeouts. The storylines to watch in 2025 ahead on Access. Cactus League play gets underway 1 week from today, the first of 20 games in Arizona. Next Thursday, Dodgers hosting the Chicago Cubs at noon. As usual, every single Cactus League game can be seen right here on Sportsnet LA. And then join us for post-game highlights and reaction on Access. Always fun to see the regulars get an at-bat, maybe two. Then the prospects get their chance to shine at camp. It's Cactus League play getting underway next Thursday. Let's look ahead to the games that do count, though, the regular season and some of the big storylines that impact the Dodgers. For the second straight year, Dodgers opening the season overseas in Asia after South Korea last year, DV. The champs are going to Japan, and this is going to be like Beatlemania when you get over there to Tokyo.
Or maybe traveling with a Swiftie crew, right? Maybe Ohtani's now the Swiftie. It's going to be amazing. Right there's the airport that we walked through in South Korea. I know there's already discussions about how to handle the crowd and the media as soon as they touch down. But I can tell you the vibe around the team is way more excitable than it was a year ago at this time, just because you want to see what it's like to be with Ohtani at the Tokyo Dome.
I cannot wait to see it because the Dodgers, the world champion Dodgers, they're having a few guys, their heroes coming back. Shohei Ohtani, obviously Yamamoto, Sasaki as well. And I'm anxious to see the reaction when they see the Big Show. May it be Michael Jackson-esque. Remember Michael Jackson back in the 80s and 90s, boy? He had people fainting when he performed or just stood there.
So did the Beatles back in the day.
Yeah, so don't ever compare Swift to the Beatles as well. So
yeah.
I'm trying to bring it into modern times.
Anxious
with
to
two
see
boomers
fans react to the Big Show.
All right, well, speaking of the Big Show, playing in Tokyo, it's going to be obviously a huge deal when he gets there, but he's not going to be on the mound for that trip. Jerry, another storyline, though, when he does return to the mound as a Dodger for the first time, likely in the month of May, that's going to be special as well.
It's going to be special. He was so impactful last season, obviously 50-50 MVP at the plate. Sometimes we forget that, guess what? He is an ace, elite pitcher on the hill, runs that fastball anywhere from 96 to 100 miles an hour. He's got great off-speed pitches as well. So I'm anxious to see him take the mound in Dodger blue, not just in May, not just in August, but in the playoffs. Hopefully the World Series as well.
That first game that he starts at Dodger Stadium, it's not going to be just another game. It's going to be an event.
Yeah.
That's going to be the hottest regular season ticket out there, including the Ice Cube bobblehead night. That will top
That's going to be a tough one to top right there, the Ice Cube bobblehead. Hard to check the secondary prices for that game. Meanwhile, we don't know exactly when Clayton Kershaw is going to make his 2025 debut, but when he does, he's going to need just 32 strikeouts to reach 3,000 for his career. DV, only 3 other left-handed pitchers in the history of the game have reached 3,000 Ks.
I don't want to be that guy that one-ups you, John, with some fun facts, but...
Go for it.
Okay. When Kershaw does reach that 3,000 strikeout plateau, he'll become just the 5th pitcher in baseball history to have 3,000 strikeouts with one team.
Well,
that's why it's even more special. In this day and age of free agency and guys bouncing around, he's staying with one team for 17 plus years, and him doing that in a Dodger uniform, hopefully at Dodger Stadium, will be just perfect.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. David, that is a great point. I'm serious because, listen, in the sports world, when you have guys that stay with one ball club and win multiple rings with that ball club, we saw with Kobe Bryant the impact he had with the Lakers. Clayton Kershaw, hopefully 3-time, 4-time World Series champ here with the Dodgers. So, yes, it's special. It is unique. 3,000 strikeouts. That is a lot of strikeouts. He will get it at some point. Yes, I was one of those guys he struck out.
I will say this, you know, there are a lot of talking heads out there that are saying that the reason why Kershaw is coming back is just for those 32 strikeouts. They have no idea what they're talking about. That doesn't mean anything to him.
Yeah. He can care less. I'm telling you.
He's not a milestone guy.
No. No, he's not.
He wants to win
cares-
rings.
Rings.
Yeah.
That's
all
why
he
the
cares
spin
about.
stops here, John.
We love that. And thanks. You can share those kind of nuggets anytime. One up me, one up Jerry. We don't care. Unique milestone on the offensive side. Freddie Freeman leads all active Major League players in total bases, just 134 shy of reaching 4,000 total bases for his career, a feat only 9 other first basemen in the history of the sport, Jerry, have reached. And except for Rafi Palmeiro, all of them are Hall of Famers.
Yes, there's no secret. Listen, Freddie Freeman will be a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. Multiple World Series champ, led obviously the Braves to a championship. Now your Dodgers. This guy is the prototypical big league hitter, big game hitter. Uses a whole field, has power to all fields as well, and he wants to be at the plate in big situations. We saw it firsthand, Game 1 of the World Series.
2 years ago, one double shy of having 50 in the regular season. That will help you achieve that milestone as far as total bases go, and we'll see how his feet are feeling the first couple of weeks of the season. I know the Dodgers want him to take it slow after that right ankle surgery that has really slowed him down a little bit this offseason. It's more about, like you guys say, it's about the big picture, not just about the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, won't be playing in some of those early games there in spring training, but 4,000 total bases.
That's pretty good.
It's an incredible number. This season, 2 Major League teams are going to be playing in minor league ballparks. You have the Nomad Athletics and the Tampa Bay Rays. The A's will come here to Dodger Stadium, so DV, sorry you don't get to go to Sacramento this year, but the Dodgers will travel to Tampa, Jerry, in early August. Tampa in August, outdoor, playing at Steinbrenner Field, which is the Yankees' spring home. Capacity is only 11,000. You've played some games there in that ballpark.
I have played some games in that ballpark, John. You know, I'm so glad you brought it up. I actually took somebody deep in that ballpark. It was a fantasy camper, but it felt great. But listen, tip your hat to the Yankees, man. They didn't have to do this. For them to extend their spring training home and make it a big league home for the Rays. Obviously, we know what happened to their ballpark because of that hurricane. It is a beautiful facility. It is really a beautiful facility. I know it's only 11,000, but it will be packed when the Dodgers
and it's going to be
visit
hot in August.
It is going to be scorching hot, but hopefully we get a nice gentle breeze there. We won't be there.
Yeah, it'll be nice and chilly in here. DV will be there.
Yeah.
I'll just say it's shocking that Major League Baseball will have 2 teams playing in minor league stadiums this year. No other professional sport would ever allow that to happen. And I know the circumstances were a little bit different in Tampa, but to have the A's as a Nomad team in Sacramento playing in a minor league stadium, it's really unfortunate those circumstances have happened when the sport is at its peak.
I know the city of Montreal would really love a baseball team.
So would Nashville.
There are a lot of cities. Portland would like one as well, and we'll see if the whole Vegas thing happens for the A's. There's some people not convinced that will happen. Final thoughts on day 4. We look ahead to Friday night. We'll be live in Arizona, our annual patio show from Camelback Ranch. Yeah, Plunkett will be there. Vassay won't.
Love those vests.
メジャー翻訳速報。ドジャースの東京開幕が近づいてきましたね。ワールドチャンピオンに大谷翔平選手、山本由伸選手やさらに佐々木朗希選手が加入し、まさにドリームチームの来日となります。そして嬉しいニュースがクレイトン・カーショーの復帰です。怪我のリハビリを乗り越え、5月には愛するドジャースブルーのユニフォーム姿を見られそうです。今シーズンのドジャース、本当に楽しみですね。皆さんの感想もぜひコメント欄でお聞かせください。ご視聴ありがとうございました。